They say comfort is the enemy of greatness, but that's not quite right. Comfort is a liar, a sweet-tongued illusionist whispering, "You're safe here. You've done enough." But deep down, your spirit knows the truth. You weren't born to stay safe. You were born to build, to lead, to rise, even when the ground beneath you is burning. There comes a moment in every life when the voices of fear, of doubt, of hesitation grow louder than your dreams. And in that moment, you are given a choice. Turn back to safety, or burn the bridge behind you and move forward with no way back. That's the decision the great ones made. It's not the decision of the comfortable. It's the decision of the committed. When Hernan Cortés arrived with his men on the shores of the New World, he gave one command: burn the ships. No retreat, no safety net. Only forward, only conquest, only now. And before you think this is just about history, let me remind you. You have ships in your life too. Excuses, backup plans, old identities, toxic relationships. All those lifelines you keep just in case your dream doesn't work out. Burn them. Because until you do, you're not really in the game. You're standing on the shore, fantasizing about the empire you could build, while still clutching the map back home. You want success? Then act like there is no way back. Every empire starts with a decision, an uncompromising belief that your vision matters more than your fear. Not a hope, not a wish, not a lukewarm try. A decision, backed by obsession, fueled by clarity, strengthened by discipline. Let me ask you something most people are too afraid to answer honestly. What are you waiting for? More knowledge? Another mentor? A perfect time? There is no perfect time. There is only this time. And if you don't own this moment will own you. Henry Ford didn't wait until people believed in cars. He built them while the world laughed. Walt Disney didn't wait for investors. He sketched a mouse and a dream when he couldn't afford dinner. Thomas Edison failed 10,000 times, not because he was lucky, but because he refused to leave the lab. And while the world called them foolish, they called themselves builders. You want to change your life? Then stop seeking permission. Stop playing to survive. Start playing to dominate. Every day you delay, your empire rots in the blueprint stage. Your ideas sit, gathering dust, while someone else, less talented, less prepared, less gifted, is out there executing. Not because they're smarter, but because they committed. You have to see it before it's real. You have to believe it when no one else does. You have to get up when every voice around you says, "Stay down." This is not a feel-good speech. This is a call to arms. Because you already have what it takes. But you've been negotiating with fear like it's an equal partner. You've been sleeping in comfort when your destiny is out there grinding in silence. And that ends today. This is the moment you sever the ties. This is the moment you burn the damn bridge. There's no greatness in partial effort. You either go all in, or you go home. And I'll tell you why most people never make it. They never fully commit. They keep one foot in the familiar, one toe in the fire. And when the heat rises, they run. But you? You are not most people. You don't want a mediocre life. You don't want ordinary results. You want to build something legendary, a legacy that outlives your breath. That means sacrifice. That means discomfort. That means doing what the masses refuse to do. And it begins the moment you stop flirting with safety and start dancing with destiny. You think building an empire starts with a business plan? A bank loan? A website? No. It starts with a decision inside your mind, a declaration to yourself that from this moment forward, you will not think like a slave. You will not think like a victim. You will not think like a follower. You will think like a king, like a queen, like someone who understands this one simple truth. Before you build it in the world, you must first build it in your mind. Every brick of your external success begins as a thought. Every win, every achievement, every fortune, every transformation, it all begins with the story you tell yourself. If you think you're small, you will act small. If you think you're late, you'll hesitate. If you believe the world owes you something, you'll wait around forever. But if you believe you're the source, the root of all that you want to create, then there is no power greater than you. This is the truth most people never confront. You are not fighting the world. You're fighting yourself. The war is not on the outside. The real war is in your mind. The war between who you are and who you were trained to be. The war between your destiny and your programming. Your empire begins the moment you declare victory in that war. Not someday, not when it's easy, but now, in the furnace of discomfort, in the pressure of doubt, in the silence of your solitude. You don't need more external motivation. You need an internal revolution. Burn the version of you that doubts. Burn the version of you that waits. Burn the version of you that keeps asking, what if I fail? And let me answer that question once and for all. You will. You will fall. You will be rejected. You will be misunderstood, mocked, abandoned, and underestimated. But if your identity is forged in something deeper, something unshakable, then failure is just a stepping stone, not a death sentence. Understand this. You do not rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your self-image. So if your mind is poor, no amount of money will fix it. If your mind is weak, no level of success will protect it. If your identity is average, you will sabotage every opportunity that looks like more than you think you deserve. That's why the true empire is built within first. In your thoughts, in your habits, in your standards. You can build an empire of wealth, an empire of freedom, an empire of purpose. But it will only stand if your mind is the foundation. Let me tell you something that changed my life. Most people are not trapped by circumstance. They're trapped by mindset. They wait for the right time. They wait for support. They wait for a sign. But the universe doesn't respond to hesitation. It responds to intention. When you declare it, believe it, and move like it's already done, things begin to shift. The right people arrive. The right ideas flow. The path reveals itself, not before you commit, but because you committed. This is why belief is not some soft, fluffy word. Belief is a weapon. Belief is a tool of war. It is the shield that protects your vision from the arrows of doubt. When Napoleon Hill wrote, "Whatever the mind of man can conceive and believe, it can achieve," he didn't mean it as a quote. He meant it as a law. You must first see it, vividly, with all your senses. Then feel it, like it's already real. Then act like it's inevitable. This is not delusion. This is design. This is how the greats move. They walk like emperors before the empire is visible. They talk like visionaries before the world even sees the canvas. So if you're still hesitating, still questioning if you have what it takes, let me be the voice that tells you the truth. You were not born average. You were born to build, born to lead, born to rise. But only if you choose it, only if you believe it, only if you burn the bridge and never look back. Do you know why most people never build anything lasting? Not because they're lazy, not because they lack talent, but because they never get clear. They drift, they chase, they react. One week they're inspired, the next, distracted. They're busy, but not directed. They're moving, but not aligned. An empire isn't built by chance. It's not created by scattered energy. It's forged through clarity of purpose, a vision so sharp, so focused, it cuts through fear like a blade. You need a vision that scares you, one that makes your hands sweat, one that forces you to grow into someone greater just to carry the weight of it. Because vague goals create vague lives. But definiteness of purpose, Napoleon Hill's sacred principle, that is the fuel of all empires. When you know exactly what you're building, what you're becoming, what you're here for, the distractions lose their grip. The critics lose their voice. The noise fades into silence. Don't just chase money. Chase meaning. Because money without meaning is poverty in disguise. Don't just chase status. Chase significance. Because applause fades, but legacy echoes. Ask yourself, not, what do I want to do? But, who must I become? Because it's not about the empire you build. It's about the leader you become in the process. You want to be powerful? Then stop asking small questions. Ask, what pain am I willing to endure for the next 10 years? What discipline will I embrace when motivation disappears? What truth will I serve when no one's watching? These are the questions that shape builders. These are the seeds of purpose. Clarity is not a one-time epiphany. It is a daily act of war against confusion. Every day, you must revisit your vision. Rewrite it in your mind. Speak it out loud. Engrave it in your soul like scripture. And don't tell me you don't have time. You make time for what matters. If your dream isn't on your calendar, it's not in your life. Walt Disney saw castles before the ground was broken. Tesla visualized entire machines in his mind before he built a single part. Steve Jobs saw a world in glass screens when the rest of the world was still stuck in keyboards. They all saw it before we could touch it. That's what vision is. But vision without action is delusion. And action without vision is chaos. Your job is to marry the two, see clearly, and then move relentlessly. But here's the catch. The clearer your vision becomes, the lonelier the path gets. Because clarity creates separation. You'll see things others can't. You'll believe in outcomes others laugh at. You'll work on Sundays when others are still sleeping off Saturday. And they'll call you obsessed. They'll call you unrealistic. They'll call you arrogant. But one day, they'll call you right. And if they never do, so what? You don't need their approval. You need your conviction. That's how empires are born, not from being liked, but from being driven. Do you want to know what purpose really feels like? It feels like fire in your veins and ice in your focus. It feels like peace in the midst of chaos. It feels like waking up before the alarm because your soul was already moving. It feels like standing alone, unshaken, when the world tells you to sit. Purpose makes the impossible possible. Purpose is the oxygen of the spirit. It will carry you when discipline wavers. It will anchor you when storms rise. It will whisper, keep going, when everything else screams, quit. So get clear. Get precise. Stop writing dreams in sand. Write them in stone. Carve them into your morning routine. Tattoo them on your habits. Etch them into every thought, every decision, every action. Because when you're clear on the vision, you'll start to notice something incredible. Doors will open. People will appear. Opportunities will align. Not because it's magic, but because your mind is finally working for you, not against you. That's the power of clarity. Purpose gives you the vision, but discipline turns that vision into brick and steel. Everyone talks about passion. Few talk about repetition. Few talk about showing up after the excitement is gone, after the motivation has dried up, after the world stops clapping. Because here's the raw, unfiltered truth. Your empire will not be built by what you do once in a while. It will be built by what you do daily, when it's boring, when it's painful, when no one's watching. Discipline is the grit beneath the crown. It is the builder's best friend and the weak man's nightmare. You can have all the talent in the world, but if you don't show up consistently, your talent rots. You can be overflowing with potential, but if you don't act on it daily, it means nothing. The most successful people in the world are not the most gifted. They are the most disciplined. They are the ones who treat their dreams like a contract, not a convenience. Listen to me carefully. If your habits don't match your ambition, your empire will collapse. Not in year 5. Not in year 10. It will collapse in the moment you betray your discipline. You want the life few ever get? Then you must do what few are ever willing to do. You must outlast the discomfort. Outpractice the noise. Outwork your excuses. Discipline is not sexy. Discipline is not cinematic. Discipline is waking up at 5 a.m. when no one claps for you. It's doing the reps when your legs are shaking. It's writing the chapter, building the product, making the call every single day without applause. And make no mistake, every empire has been built on the back of sacrifice. You will give things up. Time, friends, parties, comfort. You will trade short-term pleasure for long-term greatness. Not because you don't enjoy life, but because you're building something greater than pleasure. You're building something eternal. You see, the average person thinks sacrifice is loss. But the empire builder knows sacrifice is leverage. It's the sharpening of the blade, the cutting away of the unnecessary, the refinement of a mind made for war, while others spend years trying to keep everything. You will rise by being willing to let go. Let go of distractions. Let go of the opinions of people going nowhere. Let go of the lie that balance means watering down your fire. Balance is not about comfort. It's about alignment. And if your current lifestyle is out of alignment with your empire, then it's time to rebuild the lifestyle, not shrink the empire. You don't have to live like the masses. You weren't born to blend in. You were born to stand out, to rise above, to lead. But leaders are forged in the furnace of discipline. Here's the paradox most never understand. The more disciplined your life becomes, the more freedom you unlock. Freedom to choose. Freedom to create. Freedom to live on your terms. But you don't earn that freedom by skipping the hard things. You earn it by conquering them. You must learn to fall in love with repetition, with structure, with routine. Because those things are not a prison, they are your scaffolding, the beams that hold up your empire. And the moment you start skipping, slipping, or taking breaks, you weaken the structure until one day it falls. So write this on the walls of your mind. I will be disciplined when I feel like it. I will be disciplined when I don't. Because I am not led by feeling. I am led by vision. This is the difference between those who talk about building and those who actually do it. The talkers get excited. The builders get consistent. The talkers set goals. The builders set standards. And standards are sacred. They are not up for debate. They are not based on convenience. They are the blueprint that replaces emotion with execution. So if you truly want to build your empire, don't just fall in love with the dream. Fall in love with the grind that brings it to life. There will be days when everything you built begins to crack. When the plan fails. When the money dries. When the people you trusted turn away. When the ones who once believed in you disappear. And it's in those moments, not the easy ones, that the real builder is born. Every empire in history has felt the earthquake, the betrayal, the famine, the isolation. But what separates the legendary from the forgotten is not who had the smoothest path. It's who refused to fall apart when everything else did. You don't need things to go your way. You need to go your way no matter what happens. This is resilience, not just the ability to endure, but to adapt and respond with power. Not, why is this happening to me? But what is this creating within me? Not, I can't take this anymore. But, I was made for this moment. Because you were. Do you think Carnegie didn't struggle? Do you think Edison didn't feel despair after his 1000th failure? Do you think Oprah, Lincoln, Mandela, Disney, any of them, got where they did without setbacks? Every one of them stood at the cliff of defeat and said, "This will not be the end of me. This will be the edge I jump from. This will be the scar that makes me unbreakable." That's how you build something that lasts. Not just by charging forward, but by learning how to rise when the world tells you to stay down. There's power in refusing to fold. There's power in saying, "Hit me again. I'll still rise." That is the mindset of a builder, of a conqueror, of a soul who has burned every bridge and now has no way but forward. The truth is, most people crumble because they've never practiced the art of falling and getting back up. They think pain is the enemy. But pain is not your enemy. It is your teacher. It teaches you where you're soft, where you're entitled, where you're still depending on things outside of you for your power. Resilience is built when you lose something and don't lose yourself with it. When you get hit and don't forget who you are. It's easy to be driven when things go well. But the empire demands a deeper drive. One that shows up even when it's dark. One that sees opportunity in the rubble. One that says, if I have to rebuild from the dust, I'll do it stronger this time. You have to be like fire. Not just able to destroy, but able to transform. Fire doesn't complain. Fire doesn't ask permission. It consumes everything in its way and becomes brighter because of it. So when your plans fall apart, burn the plan, not the dream. When the world shifts, shift with it. But never shift your purpose. Never lower your standard. Never trade your crown for comfort. Let me tell you this. Adaptability is not weakness. Adaptability is strategic strength. Empires last when their leaders evolve. When they change tactics, not character. When they move like water around the obstacle, instead of crashing into it with ego. This is how you survive the storm. You do not resist it. You become stronger through it. You do not wait for the perfect moment. You make the moment perfect by refusing to break. And when others panic, you stay composed. When others run, you build. When others quit, you keep showing up. That is resilience. That is adaptability. That is what it means to be a builder when the world only knows how to be a consumer. There will be days when you are alone with your vision. When the weight feels too heavy. When your own voice becomes your only company. And that's when you remind yourself, I didn't come this far to stop. I didn't burn the bridge to turn around. I came to build. I came to rise. I came to conquer. This is your time. This is your moment. This is the chapter that makes you legendary, if you choose not to fold. So now you stand here, at the edge of two lives. One, familiar, comfortable, predictable. The other, uncharted, demanding, legendary. And the only thing between them is a choice. Not a choice you make once, but a choice you make every single day. Every morning your eyes open up. You are choosing to build or break, to advance or to retreat, to rise or to rot. You can't live both stories. You can't hold onto the shore and sail into the storm. You can't tiptoe toward greatness with your foot still planted in safety. At some point, you must decide, this is it. This is who I am now. This is what I was born for. Because no one is coming to hand you the crown. No one is going to build your empire for you. No one is going to wake you up early. No one is going to silence your doubts. No one is going to drag you past your fears. That's your job. That's your duty. That's your rite of passage. Burn the bridge. Let the past go. Let the excuses die. Let the comfort rot. You're not that person anymore. You don't belong to the small version of yourself. You don't need validation. You don't need permission. You don't need someone to believe in you before you do. That old life, the one filled with maybe, someday, and I hope. Burn it. Because what lies ahead demands all of you. The fire, the focus, the obsession, the refusal to quit. You don't need another podcast. You don't need another quote. You don't need another plan. You need to commit. You need to move. You need to get your hands dirty in the work. To bleed for something that hasn't even manifested yet. To build with conviction while the world laughs or stays silent. Because the world doesn't believe in builders until the empire is already standing. But you? You don't build for applause. You build for impact. You build because your blood burns with something bigger than you. You build because you refuse to die with your dream buried inside your chest. And so you grind. You sacrifice. You sharpen. You evolve. You outlast. Until the empire is no longer a dream. It is reality. Not built overnight. Not handed to you. Earned. Brick by brick. Step by step. Year by year. You will rise. You will build. You will lead. Not because it's easy. Not because it's popular. But because it is the only life worthy of the fire inside you. So light the match. Burn the bridge. And build the empire. Because there's no way back now. Only through. Only forward. Only greatness. Go. Build. Become.